Hello, this is Socially Triggered, and this video is going to be on teaching people intolerance. In our current society, we've learned to be very tolerant, accepting of other people, and understanding how people live and want to live, and we try to accept everyone, whether they're transgender or whatever crazy gender identity they want to be. We try to accept them and tolerate them, whether they're a different religion, different race, whatever. We try to be accepting and tolerant of everyone and of everyone's behaviors and ways of being. What I kind of think is, as a parent, I've learned that that is not necessarily the best way to behave. If you let a child, for example, just do whatever they want, where they go in and children will put things in their mouths, they'll run around, they'll get their hands into things that maybe will chop their hands off. They'll do stuff that is really, really bad for them. And if you let that behavior happen, you'll have a child that either gets killed, or you'll have a child that gets maimed, or poisoned, or something bad will happen to that child, because you haven't taught them how to behave in a way that is actually acceptable. And when you actually discipline a child and you say, hey, don't touch that, don't do that, at first it's very painful, because they'll freak out. They'll be like, I really want that. They'll cry and they'll whine, and you'll feel really bad for doing it, even though you're trying to protect them. Often you'll see children, they'll put everything in their mouths. They'll put some poisonous things into their mouths, and you'll be like, no. And then they'll cry, they'll whine, they'll want to put that weird thing into their mouths. And you gotta stop them. Well, this behavior is not just about dangerous things, it's bad behavior about other stuff that they'll do. And they'll do things that just aren't accepted in our culture. For example, picking your nose. Well, kids will pick their nose, they'll put things into their nose, they'll do the craziest stuff. Children are pretty dumb in most ways, but they're lovable in their own weird way. So the thing is, they'll do stupid things. And as a good parent, we teach them, hey, don't do that in public. But the thing is, if you think about it, why don't we accept people picking their nose in public? Other than the fact that it's kind of gross, why don't we? If we're such a tolerant society, well, we should accept that. But we don't, because there's a reason for it. There's a reason why we have intolerance to certain behaviors. Because they are offensive. They are gross. And we have to make sure that people are aware that you can't do certain things, and that there is a matter of intolerance there. And that we have to teach people what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And when we create a society that is accepting of everything, in some ways what we're doing is actually we're setting up that society for failure. Just like the child. The child goes, if it never learns that this is dangerous, this is bad, this is not accepted, they will do something that will result in their demise. And this the same thing happens with society. And what I'm seeing now is, especially with the whole trans rights and the whole trans activism, I see that we're making the same mistakes. And the trans thing is just really an example that could be stretched to many other things, but it's kind of more the obvious one. Trans rights and the whole idea that we have to accept people for what they identify as is really, really dumb. It's where we should be intolerant is in this case. Because what happens is people that have gender dysmorphia, I always mess up that word. Okay, just so you know. When they have that condition, what ends up happening is it's mental disorder. That they actually think of themselves and they perceive themselves as being something that they are not. It's similar to anorexia. When an anorexic person looks into the mirror, they see a fat person. And if you sort of say, hey, anorexic person, we accept you, and we love you for who you are, and we never actually address the fact that they have this mental disorder, what ends up happening is they die. because they'll just keep on starving themselves because they'll always see themselves as being fat. However, if we intervene and we say, hey, look, you have a problem. You're not, your version of the world is not correct. And you have to open your eyes to the reality that you're starving yourself to death. Well, the same happens with these transgender people. If we keep on enabling them, what ends up happening is they get into hormone therapy, they get into all these things that actually have really detrimental effects on their bodies. And the thing is, it never addresses the real issue. They perceive themselves as being of the opposite gender. And they don't see the reality of their situation. And if you don't actually address the real problem and instead just help them, be accepting of it, then you're really enabling something that is going to destroy that person. So by being tolerant, we're actually having a very negative effect on that person's life. Maybe us being intolerant of them, maybe it's a short-term pain. Yes, they'll feel sad. They'll feel, oh, I don't fit into this world. And they'll feel all this pain. And we will hurt their feelings. We will. Just like the child. We hurt that child's feelings when they don't get to put that weird thing into their mouth. However, the long-term benefit could be that they learn that they have a problem and they learn how to cope with that problem. And they don't go the medical route of chopping things off or taking hormones that can have very detrimental effects on them. It can cause sterility, it can cause a whole bunch of problems. And what we've done is by being intolerant, we've actually shown compassion for that person, and we've shown them that we are really trying to help them get over this problem that they have. And we are really accepting of the fact that they have a problem, and we want to be part of the solution to solving that problem. But by entering into their delusion and accepting their delusion, we are actually only enabling them, and we are doing a disservice to that person. We have to be real with these people. We have to be intolerant sometimes. And we have to, never enter this delusional state that they're in. Once we become just as delusional as they are, then we are no benefit to them. We might as well just give up. And that's what I worry about our society, that it's not just about transgenderism, it's about all these other issues where we're entering in this whole politically correct, safe space kind of mentality where we're not letting people really learn what they need to in order to survive, in order to be better people. And if we keep on enabling this bad behavior, we're only going to make our society weak, and we will die. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd like to hear the comments about this one. This has been Socially Triggered. Bye for now.